Welcome to Technomancer's Business Made Simple. I'm James Kim.
And I'm Michelle Kim.
And this is Rachel Reyes.
Hello.
She's, I can't pronounce it. What is it?
She's actually a certified auditory verbal therapist. Actually, for the longest time, Rachel, I've known you as a speech pathologist. And I just found out like a few days ago that you're a certified auditory verbal therapist. What's that?
Wait. When we were doing Hear Speech, her website is hearspeech.ph. When we were doing your website and we were here all talking, I say, hey, natapos, did you guys finish the website of that speech therapist? The speech therapist website, and that's how we refer to you internally. Because we didn't know the difference because we were ignorant fools.
Oh,
so
no,
please,
you're not.
Please
enlighten us.
Please correct us.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not entirely wrong. I am both, actually. I have a degree in speech pathology, so that makes me a speech pathologist, or most people would say speech therapist. But after earning my degree and practicing for a few years, doing speech therapy, I specialized in auditory verbal therapy. So auditory verbal therapy is a more specialized early intervention program for children with hearing loss only. Because when you're a speech therapist, you might be working with other cases.
Okay.
But as for me, I decided to focus on children with hearing impairment. And the more appropriate approach for them, intervention approach, would be auditory verbal therapy. So I studied for another 3 years, and I underwent specialized training, mentored practice. I had a mentor who helped me. And then after those so many years, I became eligible to sit for the certification exam. So I sat for the exam and fortunately I passed. So now I'm a certified auditory verbal therapist.
Yeah, side question.
Sure.
You said you had a mentor.
Yeah.
I have another, we had another guest before, Rachel Lida. She's a neuropsychologist. And, you know, she also works with early intervention. She does a profile of kids. And she also has a mentor.
Yeah.
And you're the second person I've heard who mentioned that they had a mentor. What is that? Is that an academic thing? Is it the early intervention thing? Is that, I don't know anyone. Do you have a mentor, Michelle?
No, but my course is not speech pathology.
Yeah, so what is
or
that mentor
psychology.
thing?
Yeah.
Because both of you said mentor and I found that surprising.
Kasi one way to learn about auditory verbal therapy, it's not really, at least here in the Philippines, there's no formal course in any university that offers
What is your course?
speech pathology.
Speech
My
pathology.
BS. Then I have a master's in special
Then you have a master's.
in special education.
Special education.
So the masters, was that the one that you took in Japan?
Yes.
I know you went to Japan for 3 years, right?
Yes.
Oh, we'll go back to that. But what's the difference with, how come you have mentors?
Kasi that's, at that time, many years ago, that's and even until now, that's one of the requirements for you to learn auditory verbal therapy. You need somebody to guide you.
So is that like it's a requirement? Everyone has a mentor in your profession.
Yeah.
It's probably
you
like
have,
an OJT thing. Maybe.
you have to be mentored by a certified auditory verbal therapist.
So it's like an internship.
Yeah, internship.
Yeah, you can say
You get paid if you do that mentorship.
no. You have to pay your mentor.
You have to pay your mentor to.
But I didn't pay my mentors. There was someone who sponsored the.
So someone paid your mentor.
Yeah, but when that mentor came over to the Philippines, it was not only me whom she mentored. There was a group of us local speech therapists who wanted to learn auditory verbal therapy. And so she mentored a group of us with sponsorship from a very generous, kind, well-to-do family.
Wow.
And so right now, you can also be a mentor, right?
Yes, because I am certified.
Certified from where? Is it
Is it
Philippine certified? Or
No, international. It's given by the certifying body is AG Bell. Academy based in Washington.
So where did you get yours? Did you go to Washington D.C. too?
For my the mentor was brought over here.
Ah, okay.
And she mentored me and my other colleagues for 2 years.
So were you guys
2
the
or
first?
3 years.
If she went over here, does that mean there weren't any local mentors?
No, at that time.
So you are one of the first. You're a pioneer.
You can say it like that.
Well, it is like that if it's like that.
Yes.
And speaking of being pioneer, I know you're the very first batch, right? Who graduated speech pathology here in the Philippines.
No.
You are?
Hindi naman.
In UP.
Hindi naman. There were a few batches ahead of me. Okay.
But you were the first that had the mentor. So you're the first that can get that entire certified thing.
Yes.
So
First batch.
So what happened to the
But
others?
you were talking about
Her course.
my
Yeah.
Bachelor of
What happened?
Science degree in speech pathology.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sabay tayo
what's the story?
graduated.
Yeah. But
Okay, we graduated 1990s. Before that, the first batches probably graduated late 70s, early 80s.
Wait.
How?
What happened to the earlier batches? Screw them.
So,
They don't have the
certification. So we're now talking about auditory verbal therapy, right? Okay, so
You
there
got
were
certified.
Yeah.
You were the first
No.
batch
Okay.
in the Philippines to have that mentorship.
Right.
And then that is what's needed to become certified.
Correct.
So what happened to the previous batches that graduated from speech therapy? They can't.
No, they
do
did.
their own?
They didn't pursue that path.
This is like a
Go.
specialization, Jinx. So,
So they just became general practice or something like that.
or something else.
Or maybe specialize in something else. So there was a small group of us who decided to go towards the auditory verbal specialization
so that's
path.
a new thing.
Yes.
Okay, let me start there. So first you graduated from college,
Correct.
took the masters, and that's in Japan.
Yes.
And then you did the mentorship
Yeah.
in the Philippines.
Yes, you got the timeline right.
So when you went to Japan, like, did you know that you're going to do? Because if you were the first batch, it means auditory. What is it again?
Verbal.
Auditory verbal therapy.
To make it easy for our audience, we'll call it
AVT.
AVT.
Yes.
For our audience, because I got that. I can say that well, but I'm just going to say AVT just to
Yeah.
make things easier. So when you did the masters, I mean, it's probably expensive to take a masters in Japan.
Not in my case because I got a scholarship. I was awarded.
Wow! You
I
got a
was-
scholarship and it's free?
Yes.
The entire thing?
Everything.
She like
Even no, I'm not. I'm not.
Rachel is really smart. Yeah, for everyone out there, Rachel is my childhood friend from way back in Stella Maris. That's why I know a lot.
After World War II.
Yeah, we both studied in Stella Maris, grade school and high school, and then college we went separately. Actually, both we went to UP.
Separate campuses.
Yeah, but separate campus.
Okay. Yeah, but Michelle is smarter.
You're right.
Okay, so I got that scholar. I was awarded the.
How many people were awarded that scholarship?
Actually, marami worldwide. It's called the Japanese
How many in the Philippines?
Every year they would. I don't know the number, but every year there
More
will
than
be
10? Less than 10?
more than 10 siguro.
Just kidding.
Siguro every year. It's called the Japanese Government Scholarship or Mombusho. So I was awarded that. So I went to Japan, studied there, lived there for 3 years. I finished my master's degree in special education, major in still hearing impairment.
Wait, do you speak Japanese now?
Before, now,
A little bit.
Yeah.
Sukoshi dekimasu.
I don't know what that means. But why did you decide to pursue that as a master's? Did you know it's going to be big? Did someone say, hey, this is going to
No.
be a big thing? Or because the Japanese government said, hey, we'll let you study for free. And you said, why not?
Because at that time I was already working with children with hearing loss, but I was just beginning in my work with these special kids. Then a friend just told me na you want to study masters in Japan. So like, sure, why not? So he walked me through the process of the application.
So after college, basically, you were already working. You already set up a business.
Actually, before
practice?
that, James, I'm very, very curious, Rachel. Why did you even take up speech pathology in the first place? Because when I was young, I know I've never heard of speech pathology as a course.
Me too.
So I'm very curious.
So speech pathology is that helps people talk, right?
Yes.
Okay.
People with communication disorders.
Yes. So why did you take that?
Honestly, I didn't apply for that course. So I applied for, I think, dentistry at that time.
What's
Maybe
your second choice?
not even. It was, diba, you apply when you apply in UP, you apply for 2 campuses, and then each campus 2 courses. So speech pathology was none of the choices that I wrote. Kaya lang, siguro, maybe I passed the bare minimum required score to get into UP, but not into the courses that I wanted.
What was your first choice?
I think it was dentistry.
Second choice?
I forgot. Journalism, maybe.
I remember.
And then when you were into speech pathology, you grew to love the course, and you didn't
Tinamad na ako mag-transfer.
to shift to a different course.
Tinamad, that's the word.
Although you know what, Rachel, I know during our time, it's they were so strict in speech pathology, diba? They just get us a certain number of students to proceed to the higher years, if I'm not mistaken.
You have to have a certain average before you get into the course proper. So 2 years of GE, general.
The reason I know is because I have a friend who didn't get into made the cut. So they were forced to transfer to a different course.
So there was a certain average that you have to achieve so you can proceed to the course proper.
So you graduated on time, and then
I did.
You decided, and then you started working. So you already had a practice. You started a practice.
Not private practice. I was working part-time here, part-time there.
Okay, I was going to ask if you put up a sign, speech pathologist.
No.
So you're working in clinics, other clinics.
Hospitals. You should. I think I worked in a rehabilitation center in a children's hospital, dyan sa Quezon City.
And then why'd you take the masters? Weren't you sick of school?
Because I got the scholarship.
So scholarship.
And it's Japan, so why not?
You applied.
I did apply because at that time, parang, siguro 3-4 years after graduating, parang, syempre, you're young, you want something new, you want adventure. And I had fun. Actually, before I got that scholarship, one day, I'm bored, I want to do something else. So, sige, aral akong Japanese. Kasi, you would always see sa mga poste, di ba? Study Japanese, French, ganyan. So, wala lang, sige. Japanese. So, I went to the Japanese embassy, enrolled in a 6-month Nihongo basic course. I enjoyed it. I enrolled in the next level. And then a classmate in that course said, you want to study in Japan, they're offering scholarships. So I applied. In less than 9 months, I got accepted. So I left for Japan.
Spent 3 years in Japan.
Yeah.
And then you came back, and then what did you do?
Came back, siguro, just a year after I came back, the mentorship in auditory verbal therapy began. So studied again. Yeah. But coupled with actual practice na.
Okay.
Training and together.
The studying doesn't end. Doesn't it get how do you keep interested in studying?
Because when you're learning new things, it's exciting.
Okay.
Diba? We are all lifelong learners, and that's what motivates you to keep going. Kasi stay stagnant.
How many years was your mentorship?
Maybe another 3 years. That's a magic number. 3 years.
During your mentorship, were you working also part-time?
Yeah.
50-50?
So when I was receiving mentorship, I was seeing cases already of children with hearing loss. So while I was working with them, my mentor was there to guide me, to coach me, until I got eligible to take the certification exam.
No, I was always curious about that. I like with technology today, I thought like hearing loss is almost all like they can implant something in the cochlea.
Right.
Yeah.
They can implant something. So I thought hearing loss is almost like all gone. Is that false or is that?
Kasi children are born with hearing loss.
Like that cannot be fixed. Is that what
You can be remedied by giving them the cochlear implant. So it's not something that, well, there are ways to prevent it at birth.
right?
Maybe like for mothers, for example. Before kasi one of the causes of hearing loss was yung maternal rubella. Yung
I didn't know that.
mothers getting sick with
Always
measles. But now there's a vaccination for that for mothers. So you can prevent hearing loss due to
Measles.
measles. So there are ways to prevent naman. Kaya lang, sometimes you just can't prevent it, and children are born with hearing loss for no reason at all. Some there will be reasons, others no reason at all. So unfortunately, they have this condition, but fortunately, as you said, nowadays technology is so advanced. So you have this cochlear implants, high-powered digital hearing aids.
Yeah.
So you all have this amazing hearing technology to help them.
Are they affordable
Here.
to the regular, to regular people? Are these expensive?
They are.
Are they covered by PhilHealth or something?
Yeah, I think, okay. Talking about the cost, I think nowadays, I'm not very sure about the cost of digital hearing aids, but it could run from yung ano talaga, top of the line brands.
Right. Well, I'm talking about like the lowest common denominator.
Which
If is a minimum age worker and their son is born with hearing impairment. What are can they afford a cochlear implant somehow, either through government grants or something?
on their own, maybe not, because it might cost them 1 million per year.
Per year?
That's only the device.
Just the device, not the operation.
Device, surgery, hospitalization.
Oh, yeah.
So 1 million everything. For those who may not be able to afford them, there are agencies that they can go to for financial help, or maybe on their own they do their fundraising activities.
What-
They know of private companies that they can go to and ask for help.
Are there a lot of people, do you think, that with kids that could benefit from this but just cannot afford it?
Surely, yes.
That's
Especially
so-
here in the Philippines. Yeah, that's true. Can I share with you about how things are done in other countries? Like, let's say in Singapore, where I also worked for a few years. 80% of the cost is covered by the government, subsidized by.
Yeah.
So they only need to come up with the 20% of the cost, which I think like yung hospitalization, surgery, they can claim that from meron sila yung national health insurance nila.
So do we, PhilHealth.
Yeah. So yeah.
But
We'll go there later. Pero sa kanila, it's, I think, big enough to cover almost 100%. So 80%, the government will subsidize the cost of everything, and then 20% they can get from somewhere pa eh. They have other sources from also another branch of government, the medical, yung national health insurance nila. So they end up, if ever they need to pay, they end up paying very minimal na lang of the cost. But only for 1 year. If they want the other ear to be implanted, let's say both ears need an implant. So I'm talking about, again, the case in Singapore, then the family themselves will have to shoulder everything for the other ear. So sa Philippines, medyo iba.
Different. That's a very polite way of saying it.
Yeah.
Can you get by with just one implant though, like for the rest of your life, or
It's possible naman. If you really cannot have two, one is better than nothing at all. Kaya lang, sabi nga nila, God gave us 2 ears for a reason. So the ideal talaga is to, if both ears are candidates, kasi yung iba, there's a candidacy criteria. So, yung iba, let's say only one ear is candidate to receive a cochlear implant, but the other one is good enough that hearing aids may suffice. So you'll see some, they only have one hearing
So
aid.
you have a backup.
Not really back up, it's just that there are enough good hearing, residual hearing, na pwede naman mag-benefit sa hearing aids lang.
So what's the difference between a hearing aid and a
Okay.
cochlear implant, and how can you tell for example, this hearing impaired person should get a hearing aid or a cochlear?
Okay. So basically speaking, you have to factor in a lot of things kasi. Pero just basically speaking, let's talk about candidacy criteria. Those who are candidates for cochlear implants are those with profound hearing loss. Or may ano kasi yun, may degree yung hearing loss, meron ka mild, moderate, severe, profound. So mostly profound cases are candidates, but they're expanding the candidacy criteria. So even those with severe to profound or moderate profound hearing loss, they are candidates already. But if you only have mild, moderate, you can do well with just the hearing aid. So you will see kids, they are only wearing hearing aids kasi the hearing loss is not that bad.
Is there a window? Like for example, you really need to identify hearing loss at this age for you to be able to get cochlear implant. What if you're already old? Is it you can still get a cochlear implant?
Michelle, thank you for that question. That's a very good question. Yes, definitely. When it comes to speech and language development, the development of listening skills, there is definitely a window. Let's talk about early intervention. Okay, so there is what we call the 1-3-6 rule. When a child is born, he has to go through this newborn hearing screening.
Yeah.
So
They do that here in the Philippines.
yeah, especially in big tertiary hospitals in the big cities.
Oh, they do that now?
Yeah. So at birth, they have this screening procedure to see if the child is at or at least have a hearing loss. So screening lang naman yun, hindi pa siya diagnostic. So if the child fails the screening, they move on, do more tests, and hopefully by the third month of life, at 3 months old, diagnosed na yung bata with hearing loss. And then at 6 months, sana may hearing technology, na fit na yung appropriate hearing technology, and therapy has begun. Kasi you're talking about windows, the window for speech and language development is from the critical age is 0 to 3. Although kids are programmed to learn language from 0 to 6 years old, the critical age is 0 to 3 because you need to take advantage of the neuroplasticity of the brain.
There's actually an interesting story about that. There was this Russian girl who was raised by wolves, raised by dogs. You've heard of this
True
case?
story ba yan? A
No,
movie?
no.
Was that a movie?
There were two cases. One was a Russian girl. She was raised by dogs. And the other was this girl in New York. She was severely abused. She was kept in the dark in a chair until she was like past a certain age. I forgot if it was 7 or 14. But either way, it was horrible, right? She was kept there. And then actually, when the parents were caught, and so they got actually it's the grandparents who did that. And then they were trying to teach them how to speak and so on. They noticed that they couldn't teach them how to talk anymore. They could to a certain degree, but never to the degree that other people could. And it was fascinating. They were being studied. It's kind of sad to say, they were test cases, they were subjects, because the scientists were fascinated. What happens if a child was not taught to speak at a young age? And these were two cases where it was there already, right? So they were studied. Their brains were found like were not as developed. They were part of a certain part of the brain that was centered with speech that was not as developed as that of a normal child. It looks like there's a window which, if they miss, they'll never really catch up. Actually, I see this all the time. When I went to Korea, I was trying to learn Korean. I was there for a few months. I learned some Korean, but I don't really speak it. So when people ask if I speak Korean, the answer is no. And then there was this other kid, some babies like there, and he was speaking Korean almost kind of fluently, not that kind, well, much more fluent than me. And they were making fun. Oh, James, look, that's a baby speaking better than you. But I don't know. There's something to that. There's kids do learn faster. I think it seems like anecdotally.
Yeah, so as I've said, there's a critical window for speech and language development, and that age is 0 to 3. Maximum 6 years old. Beyond that, it's really very difficult not to teach, to train them to.
But on that note,
speak.
When we were in the U.S., they recommended early intervention to us. They brought it up. They said, "Hey, your son doesn't seem to be responding to the spell. I think he needs to do to be looked into." And then they recommended early intervention. But here in the Philippines, I haven't heard of that exam. Is it because it's not as popular? Is it just fairly new that it wasn't in our time? What is that?
Are you talking about newborn hearing screening? So
Yes.
we're talking about Mikey, right? So when
We're talking about someone.
all right,
No,
okay.
but I already asked permission from Mikey, and he said it's okay for us to bring it up. So,
Okay.
Anyway,
But
actually,
I'm curious kasi when
Because
when they did the bell test,
It's actually
how old was
the same
he?
thing.
How old was he?
first of all, he got tested with a newborn hearing
Yes.
test, and then he actually failed the first time, and then the second time they repeated the test, and he passed. But then when he was like 15 months, I vividly remember 15 months. I brought him to a pediatrician. Actually, it was not even for a speech delay. It was because of like a flu or some sickness. And then the doctor, the pediatrician, was the one who asked me, how many words can your son say? And I said, oh my God, at that time, I couldn't even remember even a single word except for he would say "lo." He was 15 months old already. He kept on saying "lo," and I told the pediatrician, "Does that count for hello? Is that one?" And then the pediatrician said, at this time your kid should be able to say at least 15 words. So and then she recommended this early intervention program in the US.
And I really. We're really happy with it. Obviously, I totally agree. The earlier you intervene in those markers, then the earlier you can fix it, and then it's less. I don't see an issue right now. They did general therapy with him. They did the speech therapy, they did, fine visual and gross motor
If
skills.
you see Mikey now, you wouldn't believe that he had speech delay when he was a kid.
But again, I don't know. I haven't heard about that in the Philippines. Is it just not popular in the Philippines, or they just don't do it in the Philippines, or the Filipino kids are never speech delayed? It's probably not that.
Then we will be out of business. You won't have speech
We
therapists.
don't hear about the
So the
Philippines.
newborn hearing screening test, it's probably being done, right? Or
Okay, actually, there's let's talk about Republic Act. I hope I get the numbers right. 9707, Republic Act 9707.
Oh,
I
that
think.
one. I like that one.
So
I don't know what that is.
So what's that about? Is that it establishes the universal newborn hearing screening program, which prevents, detects, and provides intervention for hearing loss. So it makes the screening mandatory for Filipino newborns.
When was this?
At least in the big cities, I'm sure in Manila it's all in place na in the big hospitals. I'm just not so sure about how they do it in the provinces.
No, but when was this enacted?
Honestly, I don't know.
Is it 2000s? 1980s?
Recent years, or 80s maybe not, but maybe in the
Also
80s,
fairly
maybe some hospitals have their own screening programs, but it's not really.
So it's fairly recent.
Yeah.
So it looks like then that the concept of early intervention is fairly new in the Philippines.
It's okay.
Let's put it another way.
It's not new. It's just that I feel it's not really enacted well, or it's not really carried out as it should be.
Let me put it another way. So when you put up your practice of therapy. How is business? I know you don't like. Do you like to be called a business? It's technically a business.
It's a private practice. Maybe technically it's a business, pero I would call it a private
and
practice.
your product is your services. No different than a mechanic.
Okay.
Well, mechanic of the cars. Anyway, but you get what my point, right? It's a service that you provide. I provide programming services. Mechanic provides car services. You provide speech, audio,
Auditory.
variable.
AVT for short.
AVT.
Let's call it AVT na lang.
You provide AVT services. So isn't that a business?
Yeah, technically you can call it a business.
Well, how come you don't consider it a business?
Siguro lang hindi ako business person.
Don't you open your own shop and don't you have customers who come in and don't you charge them?
Pero I view it as kasi siguro when you're in the health profession, it's more of the term, siguro it's just a matter of terminology.
Because you don't want to feel like you're trying to do it because you make money. You want to feel
it's really not about this. It's not for many practitioners. I think it's not really. It's not seen as a business. It's more of private practice. It's service. It's more of service.
And I think I know where you're coming from, Rachel. It's more like you want to help.
Help. That's why it's service.
That's why you don't see it like
okay.
Business.
So you do a lot.
To earn, because in business there's a connotation of making profit.
Okay. So Miss Rachel then is in it for the
Not a
service.
businesswoman.
So she might not. She might offer her services for a very reasonable price. Then it sounds like. So going
Reasonable.
back to that, when you put up your service,
Okay.
did you have were there a lot of takers or a lot of customers? Did the people in the Philippines see the value in this? What year is this? 19.
All right.
What year was that when you were practicing in the Philippines?
In the beginning, I really.
This was before you went to Japan, right? Or
Before I went to Japan, I was just employed mostly in hospitals. I did some
So when you made your private
lecturing jobs in UP, ganon. And then I went to Japan for my master's, came back. I was employed in a center for children with hearing loss, and then I went to Singapore, worked there for 11 years. So private practice at that time was really it was not my sole preoccupation, because I was partly employed.
So you were employed, but you decided to put up your private practice.
Yes, parang sabay.
Did you get a rental clinic? Did you put it at home?
I had it at home,
And
which I rented from my mom. Yung kanya, one of her rentals I
She's a
rented.
businesswoman.
She's the businesswoman,
Okay.
not me.
So and then how did you get clients?
Referrals, kasi
Sounds like a business to me. Okay, but it's a service.
it's a service. It's a service.
Okay.
So,
So how was the service? How was your customer? Were there a lot of customers? Did they appreciate it? Did they pay well?
enough customers lang na kasi in our practice you only have certain number of hours that you can give, that you can offer. You cannot. Siguro sa business, there's let's say a mass production. You have a small amount of time and you can mass produce a product. In therapy, you just have limited time. Like in my case, I would just see 4 patients a day so that I can keep the quality. Hindi ako pagod, hindi ako haggard. I cannot see more than 5. Otherwise, kawawa naman yung let's say some practitioners might see 8 a day. I cannot do that.
So
kawawa naman. For me, kawawa yung
So for Miss Rachel, the quality is very important. It looks like.
Yeah. And then you do a lot of documentation after each, and then planning for the next. So the 4 patients or 4 hours, it's just the actual therapy, but the behind the scenes,
the
preparations before the therapy, documentation after, and then planning for the next session, that eats up a lot of time.
How was the pay?
So I think good enough kasi you get paid by the hour.
You can charge whatever rates you want because you were probably the first batch, right?
Now, Pero kasi before, hindi pa naman ako ganun ka. I'm talking about my practice before I got certified. But now that I'm certified, so, syempre the rates are better. I demand a little bit higher.
So it's a business.
Yeah.
I heard that you then went somewhere else, to Singapore. So how long were you practicing the Philippines?
Before I went there or after I came back?
Before you went to Singapore.
Kasi putol-putol, kasi nga after graduation, I left for my studies in Japan. So putol-putol, siguro 10 years, pero it's...
So why did you go to Singapore?
Putol-putol. Oh, because there was a great opportunity to be part of this hospital that invited me. It's the biggest children's and women's hospital in Singapore. You've been there, you saw the hospital. And at that time, they were putting up their pediatric cochlear implant program. They had the doctors, the surgeons who can do the surgery, the implantation. They had the audiologists to do the mapping or the programming, but they didn't have the therapist.
So it sounds like it at that
in the
point,
team.
It was money was no object kind of project.
No, because Singapore they have the
Exactly.
budget.
Money was no object.
Yes.
No, because they all sounds like they were trying to set it up, and they wanted to set it up complete, whole,
correct,
and world class.
Yeah.
So they were probably looking for world class people to do it. How did they find you?
When things are meant for you, they come find you.
So you just all happenstance. Huh?
No, there's someone. I have a friend who's Singaporean, a friend in the industry. So I've met her in some seminars abroad. So she knows at that time I was newly certified. So they were looking for a certified AV therapist to be part of that pediatric cochlear implant program.
How many were you guys who were certified at that time in the first batch?
2 of us in the Philippines.
Two?
In the Philippines. So even until now, there are just 2 of us, and the other one is overseas at the moment.
So you're the only AVT person in the
Certified,
Philippines?
yeah.
Wow. So you can pretty much charge whatever you want.
Within good reasons.
But I know you were a big shot in that Singaporean hospital. You know why?
Speaking of big shot.
She was the one featured in their flyers.
Because there's no one else. And they asked me to make that flyer. I made that
Actually, I should
flyer.
have brought that flyer.
Okay, here's the biggest indicator of big shot. Compared to your salary in the Philippines, what multiplier would you use?
Sige, multiply na lang. Siguro, syempre there you would earn siguro 4 or 5 times more.
Wow. And then that must be heaven there. And then you were doing a job that you like doing, then meeting with patients. Was the work harder, easier?
Actually easier. Or maybe because when I went there was more experience, so parang madali na lang to do. And you just try to control the number of patients that you see. They gave me the control as to how many I can see a day.
How many?
4 a day.
How many patients? 4.
Just 4 a day.
How many years were you there?
11.
11. Wow.
So how do you compare the patients in Singapore versus the patients here in the Philippines?
Kasi
and the parents.
Okay. Kasi in our practice, we don't just see the child, we see the whole family. The parents, sometimes even grandparents would be coming along, especially if their child is implanted. They're curious to see how the training goes. Sometimes I have a whole barangay in my room watching, and then that's fine. Kasi nga, it takes a village to help a hearing care, to raise a child, more so if a child with special needs. So, okay. So I've been doing this for many years. I've seen siguro hundreds of patients, cases, and their families. And I have local and international experience. When I was in Singapore, I've seen not just Singaporean families. Alam niyo naman, there are so many expats living in Singapore. So I've seen families from New Zealand, England, the UK, Bangladesh, Nepal, all of these families, Filipino families. I realize they're all the same. Like, you get families who are really concerned, involved, hardworking. They would do what it takes to make the child learn how to listen and talk. But then again, you have families who are less committed, not so concerned, nakaasa sa yaya, yung mga ganon. But that's a minority. I'm just happy that most of the families I've worked with have that commitment. That's why we got many good outcomes from the kids. So
families are just families, whether they're Philippines or the US.
yeah, regardless of race, it's just the same. What is different though is the system. The system, let's say in Singapore and here. There, you were talking about early intervention not being known here. It's known. It's just that I said my answer was, or being new. I said it's always been there. It's just that it's not carried out properly. In Singapore, at least in the hospital where I work, all the requirements, all the factors that are needed to have a successful early intervention program is in place. You have the budget, you have all the specialists, you have all the professionals, you have all the facilities under one roof. So our early intervention program in that hospital, and I think it's all the same in all the hospitals there, is really successful. We get good outcomes. And then
So you have full support.
full support, whatever I need this, I need that. I just need to apply. I just need to request.
The paperwork.
And sayang because actually based on our experience, we really know that early intervention works.
Yeah.
It's just that sana families would recognize this and would be given the opportunity actually to avail this
The
service.
constant debate Michelle and I have all the time is if Michael had been born in the Philippines and he needed early intervention, would the outcome be the same as it is now?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's actually, maybe it's fate that we were there then.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Because we didn't want to think what would have happened if
they didn't have the test
yeah.
or didn't have the program or didn't have the only AVT in the Philippines in another country, then what would happen to our son?
Yeah.
But I think you needed a different specialist for Mikey. He didn't have
He didn't run the full gamut.
hearing loss naman, di ba?
Actually,
delayed lang siya pero na-rule out naman yung hearing loss.
Na-rule out yung autism. It wasn't autism.
Maybe just
And then it was so what happened to Mikey, actually, he had speech therapy and occupational therapy 1 hour every day for 5 days a week for
Wow.
6 months.
That's very intensive.
And alam mo, every day, parang he was developing right before our eyes. We could see the changes.
Yeah.
Amazing na.
It was so amazing. And then he also had this parang aha moment, like all of a sudden, he would have like few words, and then all of a sudden, parang may something ticked in his brain, na parang, oh my God, he started talking like words and
Yeah.
full sentences,
Yeah.
like a matter of a day, I think, right?
Now he won't shut up.
Now he will shut up. Yeah.
Good for him.
Love you, Michael.
Hi, Mikey.
Okay, so why did you decide to go back to the Philippines? Sounds like you had the life there. You had everything. You had the money. You had the prestige. You were on the cover of the magazine of the hospital flyer. You were the flyer, right? You were the model, right?
And on the elevator door, I remember.
Elevator
Yeah.
door.
And you were even, I think you were
And the work-
teaching right in
they-
Malaysia.
And
They
the work
are my
was-
friends.
And
They
the
are my
work was
friends.
less, right? The work was lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the food was, and then you could travel at night, walk at 12 midnight. In Singapore, right? You could walk at 2 a.m. in the streets, and you had no fear that anything would happen to you, even if you were a
true.
single, beautiful lady walking by herself in the dark.
So
No
what
fear.
made you
Why did you
move
give
back?
all that up?
Good question again,
Yeah.
Michelle. Thank you. Siguro, kasi, so I was there for almost 11 years, and all I did was clinical practice. So at that time, I felt I wanted to do something else. It's still related to AVP, but not just purely clinical practice. You've seen my clinic. It's nice, but it's small.
Small? I thought it was big.
But I'm just
You were
there.
the one that's bigger than this office, and then the one your name was, your face was on the flyer. That was small, and that was not.
But you get used to it after 11 years. So you begin to look for something else. So wala lang, suddenly there was an urge to come back. just like you.
Yeah.
You were in the States for the same amount of time. You came back.
Yes.
I should interview you for the next
we're
podcast.
To you, but why would you? Okay, so you
Give all of that.
So you basically got bored.
Probably, yeah, you can say. I was looking for something else. At that time, clinical practice, parang, na-try ko na to for so many years. Maybe I want to teach, maybe I want to train. You mentioned about,
I saw your post like you were going to Malaysia or Indonesia.
I think that was Thailand. I was invited to train some of their speech therapists to do auditory verbal therapy. So that was fun. So I thought, this is what I want to do. So I said, and there was no teaching and training opportunity in Singapore, but I thought there might be more opportunities here. Plus, nag-coincide then that at that time, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, Alzheimer's, so it was a no-brainer.
You could have led with that. You could have led with that. The first one, I was like, oh, she just got bored. The second one, oh, because your mom. Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's just that it happened at the same time. So
you were getting bored as well.
Yeah.
Because you were doing clinical practice.
That happened first. That feeling of.
Oh, and then
maybe a few months after. So parang it's the universe telling me, we gonna.
So when did you move back to the Philippines this last time?
Okay, I can still vividly remember March 1, 2017. So 3 years.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Any regrets?
No regrets.
I'm sure
because
you're happy with your mom.
Yeah, she's doing well, by the way. She's.
I'm sure you're happy to be here.
Yeah.
And I think she's doing very well because you're here.
Sana.
Yeah, big factor.
Okay, so regrets? No, none at all. It's just that, syempre, different kinds of challenges. You get frustrated, you get disappointed, you come home, you're expecting certain things to happen, but didn't happen. So, but now, other opportunities came along.
Yeah.
Like,
actually, this new thing that you're doing.
What new thing is Rachel doing?
Because right now, I think in their practice,
she's leading you to that.
In their practice, they can actually do this via the internet, right? Like you can do video conference and
do that
therapy.
Yeah, that's the new opportunity that came. The others that I was thinking of didn't happen, or maybe it will happen some other time. But
The internet is truly amazing. It's not just
so you
for
can do
us
wait.
programs.
You can do speech therapy on the
AVT.
video.
Yes, AVT.
AVT. You can do auditory verbal therapy.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. AVT.
So, ano lang, kasi when you say speech therapy, it's very general.
I know.
It means na I might be seeing kids with other.
Yes.
And then people might come to me, expect, oh, I have this child, ito yung case niya.
AVT.
Can you see him?
Feel free to just slap my hand.
So, tele-AVTs, because it's, okay, the general term is telepractice.
Tele-AVT.
Okay, so but the general term, the more commonly used term would either be telepractice, telehealth, teleintervention, teletherapy. But again, it's very general.
Who invented that? Like this, was this your idea? Was this your idea and say, hey, I can just treat patients on Skype, or was it established?
The tele-AVT. The tele-AVT was something just came to me.
You were probably the very first,
You were the first
one doing that in the Philippines, right?
AVT, I'm not sure about tele-speech or teletherapy, I mean the other kinds of, I'm not sure about that, but tele-AVT, I'm the only one doing it right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many AVTs are there in the Philippines? You said one. Was it one from your batch or just one right?
From my batch who were trained initially, two got certified, but the other one is overseas.
Yes. How many AVTs are there in the Philippines certified?
No.
Really not? How come no one else has been certified since then?
Because the training is difficult. The mentorship is difficult.
Maybe as some people approach you to be their mentor?
Yes. A few people came, kaya lang the commitment talaga, you have to be committed for 3 years. So, somewhere along the line,
So it's like
nawala din
up their college life.
No. They need to be
masters first.
Oh, master.
masters, or at least finish their bachelor's in speech pathology. So there were a few who attempted, pero
But I'm really curious, Rachel. How does that tele-EVT work?
Okay.
Because with Mikey before, a physical person really went to our
Oh,
house.
yeah. But how does if this is not paying attention? Do you have like someone
Yeah.
turn him around?
So how does this work? So for
Okay.
example, I'm in, I don't know, Mindanao, and I want to avail of your service. I would probably go to your website, right?
yeah.
And then the website is being, hopefully, is in
The bottom. It's in the bottom.
Yeah.
Point to the bottom of the. It's in the bottom. Yeah.
So I go to your
Link.
website.
There's a
and then,
link.
And then I just contact you. And
Yeah, I have my contact details there.
do you give a test online? Can anyone just avail of a tele-EVT, or are there specific
Criteria. All
for
right.
the kid?
Okay. Oh, let me just, recently, siguro just a week ago, I got a call from a mom asking about my services. So curious ako, kasi some would be recommended by my other therapist friends who may not be working with hearing impaired kids, but they know that I do, so they would recommend to me. Doctors, ENT doctors would recommend to me, or would refer to me, I mean. But this particular mother, she called me, she said she needs an AVT. And so I asked her, how did you find me? Sabi niya, I searched the internet and then I saw your website.
Wow.
Oh, you know
Made
what?
by James,
You know what?
the Technomancer.
Oh, you know what? Your website, just objectively speaking, is very beautiful.
Thank
and
you.
Very well made. And
With your help, the one who helped me.
And it's very close to our heart because of
Because of
our
Michael.
personal experience.
Because of Michael.
Yeah.
Another kwento, 2 weeks ago, I think there was a gathering, and then a friend came to me. We're not very close, pero we know each other. So she asked me what I do. I have my laptop there. Sabi ko, you wanna see my website? Sabi niya, sige. Pinakita ko, sabi niya, ay, ang ganda, parang hindi sa Philippines.
Wow.
World class.
Yeah.
For your website needs, okay. Sige, let me going back.
My question.
Okay, all right. So what happens is, okay, so AVT, it can be provided face-to-face. Like you go to the clinic, you have your traditional
Right.
face-to-face therapy, you have your therapist, you have the child there, and in AVT, parents have to attend the therapy.
Yeah.
Okay, tele-AVT, it's the dynamic is the same. It's the parents are there. I cannot do AVT online without the parents. They have to be there.
Someone has to be there to
yeah.
control the kid.
To control.
Can a nanny replace
No.
the parents?
Nanny alone cannot, but they can join, but the parents have to be there. Okay? So what happens is that before we actually start with the actual therapy, syempre may mga background interviews. I want to know, una, what's the degree of the hearing loss? Is he wearing hearing aids? Is he wearing cochlear implants? Has he had therapy before? Kasi kung may speech therapy na rin before, maganda na rin yun background, even if it's not AVT but speech therapy. Somehow may konting stimulation, although the approach is different. Pero somehow, they come to you with something na versus with talagang zero, no prior intervention. So I need all those information. I need to know the level of the child so that I can plan goals for the child. I can write my therapy plan. So what happens is that, let's say, and then I give them free trial before they sign up. They get one free trial. Just for them to feel, is this the kind of service delivery model that I want? So after that, I have all the information that I need about the child and the family. Then what I will do is write my long-term goals and then write my therapy plan. So I meet the family online twice. First, let's say you're the mom. I will meet with you first for a planning session. I will send you my therapy plan. Oh, Michelle, here's the therapy plan for our therapy session. I have here the goals. I have here the strategies, because in AVT, we use special techniques and strategies, which actually, if you ask me what's the difference between traditional general speech therapy and AVT, what really defines or differentiates it would be the techniques and strategies that we use. Okay, so siguro later we can go into that. And so I will discuss them to you. I will demonstrate kung Michelle, this is how you do it. And then I will tell you what materials we need so you can gather before the action. Sometimes I have to role play the what I want them to do. Sometimes I would ask my niece, my nephew, come here. I-demonstrate namin sa kanila. Or I have prior sessions that are recorded. I would show them, of course, with the permission of the family who are recorded. Or if there are clips on YouTube that I can show them. Just so before the actual session, they are prepared na. So that's a planning session. Then the actual therapy session, by then prepared na yung mommy, alam niya may siyang therapy plan to follow to guide her. So, these are the goals I'm working on, these are the strategies I need to use, these are the materials that I need to use. So, it's actually, the activities are just play.
Actually,
daily routines, maybe you experience that with
like flashcards, and then they taught a sign language actually.
That's what I would do. That would be cool.
No,
that's the difference now.
Yeah.
We don't do that in ABT. So, daily routines, like I will come up with lessons na activities, feeding time, or preparing a snack, or
is it a 1 hour session?
Yeah, 1 hour session. So, the second meeting will be the actual therapy itself. So, yung parents na mismo, you'll be surprised. I have a lot of families, both mom and dad will be present. So, gagawin na nila yung pinag-ipinalo natin maybe the day or 2 days before. Pero I would still be there, continuing to coach them, guide them, give them feedback.
So that answers your question, James. How could Rachel keep the child?
Well, I think she would do that anyway, with or without the TV. I think the difference is parents have the parents are be there to help control the child.
Right.
And they're the ones doing everything. They're the ones facilitating everything.
Yeah, they have to facilitate.
So that's,
she's not there.
Yeah. So the planning session I told you about
It's very important.
Very important.
It's actually more work for them. Why not just? But it's because the cost is probably prohibitive to bring them to you.
Yeah. No, it's not that. It's the distance. Let's say we're talking about families from Davao. We're talking about families from Cebu who don't have a therapist there.
Exactly.
So
this is so they work more, but comes out that
Yeah. Instead of that show,
the amazing, diba?
They're probably better if the parents are more involved.
Right, bonding time with the kid, I think.
So
studies have shown that parental engagement really make really one of the reasons for good outcomes, language outcomes for this. Because they are the primary teachers, the best language models, and children learn best at home. Many families have this misconception, it's better I just bring my child to the clinic. It's the best place for a child to learn language is in his natural environment, which is the home. Because in the clinic, everything is contrived, everything is artificial.
And what's the end point of this? When you see that the child can communicate, that's it?
Yes.
When his language level is already age appropriate. So they come to me with a
So they will always get to that if they go through enough
early
EAT.
intervention.
Yes.
Or if they do early intervention.
They can catch up, the brain can catch up.
If they don't, it's very hard.
Yeah, they are late starters. Let's say here, medyo na-culture shock ako kasi when I was in Singapore, I was working with babies. My caseload was more than half of my caseload
Were babies.
were babies. 6 months old, I get them, and I work with them for 5, 6 years, 7 years. When they're 7, the language skills are age appropriate. They're ready to go to regular schools. Here, sadly, I would get kids who are 4 years old, 5 years old. Mahirap na. So the outcomes are different.
Do they catch up or no? Just close, but not
So you can close the gap, but they may not be able to catch up, and that causes problems in school. Kasi there's a gap between their language and then yung context sa school na. Let's say you're in grade 1, you're 8 years old, and then you're chronologically 8 years old, pero ang language age mo is 4 years old.
That's also a thing that I know the US. That's why the US is all for it, because they said, well, the ones who were providing for us, they said the US has recognized the cost up front is much less to early intervention the child is much less than when they're delayed 4 years later on. It's also sociological problems, lesser employment, And then
The
just the bigger
socioeconomic
impact.
impact would
Yes.
be very huge.
So how many hours a day do you work? 8 hours a day, 5 days a week?
I can't say. I
Don't want to say?
don't work on Mondays because I work on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So on average, I'd probably see, kasi,
How many hours?
so this is a new service, no? So yung hindi pa naman po yung slots ko na usually 4 patients a day. And then you have your paperwork and everything. So now, I would see, siguro in a day, like yesterday, I saw 2 patients for therapy. I had a patient in Cebu, and then there's one in La Union. And then a planning session with 2 other families from, I don't know, I forgot number there, from Tagaytay, Cavite, something like that. So that's for
So you're full up.
yesterday. Today I just saw 2 kids. Tomorrow I'll see 2 kids.
Because it must be a mind-boggling, because you're the only certified AVT in the Philippines, and you realize if you work more, you could make more, but then you have less free time.
Yeah.
It's like at some point you have to balance how much do you want to work, how much you want to earn, but versus how much you want to serve, versus how much time you need to maintain your sanity.
Correct, James. And at this age, I've
What
decided.
age? You're very young.
32.
You're very
batch
young.
mates. You're not batch mates.
22.
Actually, I've decided that I would just work part-time after coming back from Singapore. I think I've given her my best years. My best productive years na yung 11 years na yan. So when I came back, I said,
You know what you should do? You know what your goal should be? You should
travel.
mentor. No!
Mentor,
You have to
train,
mentor
other
the
train,
next
those-
AVT.
Exactly, that's why I came.
Then you can work part-time.
Right.
But until you have found the next person to mentor, you cannot relax yet. You have not found, like those movies where you found the next one that you could pass the torch to. You have to find the next AVT person. You have to pass the
Are you out
torch.
there?
Speaking
Or
of
you
which,
dare not retire. Relax.
Baka, is it, one of your goals would be like having a school of, and then have this speech pathologist grads, or, teach, parang influence them and try to convince them to specialize
Why don't you
in
write a
EVT.
blog? Why don't you write a blog on Facebook telling
All I
your...
want to do is retire. Okay, here's the thing. Di ba nga the reason why I came home, one of the reasons was to take care of my mom. So,
But you're here now, you're doing that. Done.
yeah, so you need
So,
time,
so.
exactly, you actually need time to do that. So, although she has may caregivers kasi we don't have just one to stay in. Ano sila, they take turns. There are days that they're not around, and when they're not around, you will take care of her. So, and when that happens, I cannot work at all. All my time is with her. So as you said, you balance it. So I'm balancing it between work and daughter duties
But I still think...
and friend duties.
Friend duties,
Yes.
yeah.
I still think your remaining goal, your remaining mission that you have not fulfilled is training.
Exactly.
The next generation.
That's right.
But I think I remember you mentioning something like that in one of our get-together, with Tinti. Remember you said, I wish we can do like a video on how this new grads can do AVT.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's a goal, and it's still an ongoing goal. And actually, there was a group of young therapists that I trained for intensively for 7 months. There were 15 of them. So I was able to train them and teach them the foundations. Yun lang. Sana, kasunod pa yun, next level.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, that will materialize.
And if you need Technomancer help in doing all these things, just give us a call, Rachel. Kasi
Yes, James, I
this-
need another website.
this is really close to our hearts.
Yes.
We
And like I said, catching them early
Mhm.
is better in the long run for everyone. For the
Alright,
child, for the parents, for society. The
Right.
earlier the better. So don't scrimp on this.
It's really that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Early intervention
Mhm.
Yes.
And we know
and family involved.
I learned that Rachel is an auditory
Verbal
verbal
therapist.
therapist.
We will stop calling you speech
Which
therapist.
is fine because
And
I'm also
pathologist.
like that. I'm also like that. Kaya lang with the thing I do that now, I identify myself more as an ABT, but it's not wrong to call me speech therapist, speech pathologist.
Wow, I'm so glad we had this interview,
Thank
Rachel.
you. Thank you
Thank you
coming.
for inviting me. At first I was scared to come here, pero
I'm scared? Scared of what? Michelle's not that mean.
wala.
Only
Camera shy. Pero I'm glad we did this. It was so
Yeah.
much fun.
And you're amazing.
You are amazing. Next time I should interview you.
Thank you, Miss
Thank
Rachel.
you, Rachel.
Thank
Get
you.
back to me off
This is
that.
about you.
Next time we'll make it
Rachel,
about
thank you, Miss
You're
Rachel.
doubly amazing.
Thank you.
You're doubly amazing.